And one of the other findings that we have that's related to that, and that's quite interesting, is that the theory is that we can get mesozeaxanthin from lutein, but that requires a conversion at the retina. Now, what we identified in a recent publication in IOVS was that some individuals have what we've coined a central dip in their macular pigment profile, and we hypothesized in that study that that central dip was due to a lack of mesozeaxanthin and maybe an inability to do that conversion. And essentially we've been able to show that if you give them the mesozeaxanthin in the supplement form, that you can uniquely rebuild that central pigment. And then we took that a step further and tested that in terms of functionality, and we found that we were able to greatly enhance visual function in those subjects tested in that trial. So it was quite a groundbreaking finding.
On that point, we know, for example, in conditions like pernicious anemia, if you don't have intrinsic factor in the stomach, you don't get B12 absorption. Are you positing a similar situation where individuals may be missing a certain factor which would allow them to incorporate the mesoxanthine?
Precisely correct. So in other words, as I say, there's three carotenoids in the macula. Lutein, which is in the peripheral macula, not peripheral retina, peripheral macula. Zeaxanthin, which is in the mid-peripheral macula. And mesozeaxanthin, which is in the very epicenter of the macula where vision is sharpest. It is true to say that lutein is converted to mesozeaxanthin in a large portion of people. But there are some people where their macular pigment, instead of being shaped like a typical Mount Everest mountain, has a volcanic crater in the middle. Having such a crater seems to be representative of risk for age-related macular degeneration long before disease onset. We suspect that those are precisely the people who can't convert their lutein to mesozeaxanthin, because perhaps they don't have the enzyme required to do so. And we have shown that in people who have such an atypical volcanic dip in their macular pigment, in other words, people who are at increased risk of AMD, you can only normalize it to a normal, typical mountain like Mount Everest if you include mesozeaxanthin in the supplement.